Welcome to issue 318 of Critical Encounters, a podcast about Marvel Champions, a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. Here, we take a good look at that most critical piece of the game, the encounter sets. We'll discuss those poorly understood characters, unfairly labeled villains, and their various plans to shape humanity and benefit the planet, as well as those so-called heroes intent on thwarting them. I'm one of your hosts, Daniel, and joining me tonight is Esteban. How are you, sir?
Hola, I'm good. How are you doing? How's it going?
Oh, fantastic. Another night with you fine gentlemen. And that other fine gentleman I speak of is Scott. How are you?
I am well.
Yay.
It's good to be here.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I believe you missed last week, which will air 4 weeks from now.
I did. Yes, I missed one of the episodes, unfortunately. Not unfortunately. It was good for a good occasion. But I'm happy to be back, and I look forward to hearing what our guest had to say in my absence.
It was a good show.
You know what they say?
Yeah.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Hopefully you like me even more now than you did before.
You know, remember that band Bare Naked Ladies?
Yep.
I do.
They had this one lyric was the absence makes the heart grow fungus. And I always liked that.
So total tangent. My friend and gamer buddy who plays lots of Marvel Champions with me is in a Bare Naked Ladies cover band called the Fully Clothed Gents. And if you are in the Buffalo, New York region, you may get to see them play sometime. So
wow.
Yeah.
The Fully Clothed Gents.
The Fully Clothed Gents. Yeah. They're fun, but I'm friends with the one, so I like to mock him a little bit. But yeah,
That's
good
awesome.
time.
Good times.
But we don't want to know that.
What do we want to know?
I am supposed to ask Mr. Armed and Dangerous, what is on your mind tonight?
Oh my God, this new thing, Scott. I don't get it. Well, aside from confused by that, what's on my mind is gratitude again. I feel like I've had a lot of gratitude on my mind of late, which is awesome. Because that just means someone's stuffing Steve's wallet.
Well, our wallet.
Sure.
I only embezzle a little bit of the money.
Yeah. Because I've seen hundreds of dollars of this money. Whatever. The only thing I've seen
remember when I stopped asking you to pay?
The only thing I've seen of this money is you at a convention.
Yeah. Well, remember I stopped asking you to pay to host the podcast and stuff. So.
Oh, I guess that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I make money by not spending it.
By not spending it, right?
That's right.
I believe my daughters refer to that as girl math of some kind.
Yeah. It's like shopping at Kohl's. Yeah.
I couldn't afford not to buy it. Anyway, back to thank yous. We have a new Patreon thank you, and it is Starwind M. Well, Starwind. We're going to give a technically complicated thank you to Starwind M because she's going to be serving as the Fixer's experimental gear beta tester. That's the FEGBT if you are needing an acronym, Starwind M. You'll be wearing unmarked devices with buttons labeled probably and do not. Now, if something activates without warning, please describe the sensation before you lose consciousness. All right, so thank you, Starwind M. We are so excited to have you working for us in the lair. That's very kind.
Yeah. Fixer, one of these Thunderbolts. So that'll be great.
Oh, yeah. As we often say with our jobs here, Starwind M, what could go wrong?
Yeah,
Nothing.
What indeed?
And now, Steve, I always ask you too about when I see these names and stuff. Is Starwind someone we know? Is that code name for a friend on Discord or something?
I only know this name from the Patreon. I haven't seen it converted elsewhere, but
all right.
Well,
Starwind M, reach out, come to Discord, show up on Tuesdays during our Twitches. Say hi.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Starwind. Thank you to all of our patrons, and hopefully you out there listening want to become a patron. We'll tell you how later on. But
right on, Steve. We're not here to thank Starwind. What are we really here for?
Oh, we are starting our next villain scenario in our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. box. We're going to talk all about Citizen V tonight.
Oh,
yes.
He's that patriotic fellow with the white mask, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have the pleasure to tell you, gentlemen, all about Citizen V. So let's get to it, shall we? Okay.
Well, I'm excited because there's nothing really threatening about people dressed in American garb.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
Of course not.
Right.
No.
Of course. Here we go.
All right. So today we're going to talk about a man who pulled off one of the greatest cons in Marvel history. A
Ooh.
man who stood in the light, shook hands with the public. He gives press conferences. He saves lives, and he meant absolutely none of it. Or did he? Oh, we'll find out. So the name is Citizen V, and that's V as in victory, not the Roman
Yep.
numeral 5. There's even a panel in the comics where he expressly explains that to somebody, the public. He's like in a press conference. It's like, this is what it means. So there's no ambiguity here. Okay. And he is the leader of the Thunderbolts, the first incarnation of the Thunderbolts. And that's who we're going to talk about. Citizen V at the very, very beginning of the Thunderbolts and the Thunderbolts moving forward here. So
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now, by the end of this issue, you might find yourself a little bit sad for him.
Oh.
Don't worry, it's normal. That's kind of the whole point of our show, right? So
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm glad.
okay. All right, let's set the scene. Okay, it's 1997. Kurt Busiek and Mark Baglia. I probably said their names wrong, but they are writing Thunderbolts #1. Okay, these are our Marvel writers. And when Thunderbolts #1 starts, the Avengers are gone from Marvel. The Fantastic Four are gone from Marvel.
Gone where?
So the Onslaught storyline happened, and they are all presumed dead.
Wow.
Onslaught
Okay.
does its thing, and they're all gone,
Okay.
along with some X-Men and other heroes and stuff. So the biggest heroes in the Marvel Universe are believed dead, and the world is understandably terrified because finally it's time for us to shine as villains. But nature abhors a vacuum, so they need, a hero team needs to step in to fill the void of the Avengers and the Fantastic Four that are gone. And that team, I'm going to give you a quick piece here on that team. There's Meteorite, okay? The cool, controlled, capable, with gravity manipulation powers and the poise of someone who's done this 1,000 times. There's Mach 1, a wisecracking pilot in a suit of armor that's equal parts genius and bravado.
Mm-hmm.
There's Songbird, a former wrestler turned sonic powerhouse, all the raw energy and something to prove, okay? And there's Atlas, a giant of a man, literally and figuratively, carrying something heavy just beneath the surface. And then there's Techno, the team's unnerving, twitchy, brilliant engineer who smiles like he knows something that you don't. Okay. Or otherwise known as Fixer as well. So those
Okay.
are our founding members of the Thunderbolts. But leading them all is Citizen V. He shows up in his red, white, and blue costume. Depending on who's drawing him, there's another color thrown in there. There's a tint to it. And it's not a primary color. And we know when there's not a primary color in a costume, that might mean that they're villainous, right? So go check out the comics. Our card art does not show this tint. Okay. He shows up carrying a sword. He projects the kind of authority that makes people instinctively step back and then instinctively follow. So Citizen V presents himself as a legacy hero, the heir to the World War II era champion who fought against tyranny. Now, Scott, you were talking about this a little bit off air. This Citizen V from World War II, right?
Indeed.
So what I want to do is I want to hop in the Wayback Machine for a minute. And let's talk about the original Citizen V, not the 1997 Citizen V leader of the Thunderbolts, because it is an important connection, okay?
But are they the same character?
They're not the same character, but there is a stolen legacy here for our Citizen V that I think it's important to...
Okay.
They do relate, yeah. Okay.
All
right. So that name, Citizen V, is not invented. It isn't a fiction that our Citizen V conjures out of nothing, right? It belongs to someone. It belonged to someone all the way back in the comic Daring Mystery Comics #8, 1941.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, like during World War II, in real time. Okay.
That's old.
It is old. It might be one of our oldest ones, right?
Wait, Steve, when did
That's
comic books start?
amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
What's the
Tuck
first
the
comic?
Cave Boy, he was way back there. I don't know when the original, like Marvel might not have been Marvel. It was this Daring Mysteries, or was this, or was that. Someone with more knowledge than I would have to know.
But I'm curious what the first thing recognized as a comic book was.
Yeah, as a comic book. Because there was like comics in the funny pages of the
Papers,
newspaper.
right? Like Archie and stuff like that is old, but
yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Okay. So our OG Citizen V, oh, that's confusing. It was named John Watkins. He's an Englishman. He's a patriot in the truest sense, the kind that like doesn't announce itself, right? He's just humbly powerful. He's just humbly a patriot here. And during World War II, Watkins operates as Citizen V. He leads a covert Allied resistance unit called the V Battalion, because before the X stuff happened, there was the V stuff. So it was earlier in the alphabet, I guess. Everything was a V something. Okay, so you can think of these guys as like the shadow war behind the war that most people don't know about. The one that's fought in like occupied buildings and back channels and places that like never reach the history books, right? So that's what our original Citizen V is doing. And he is brave. He's uncomplicatedly brave. And he dies because of that. He dies for that. He's killed in action during the war, and the details are appropriately, like for a man who works in the shadows, a little murky. And I don't want to give away anything because it might spoil stuff, so I'm not going to comment on that at the moment. Okay, but his legacy is not murky, right? The V Battalion continues. The name Citizen V passes on, as names like that tend to do, and like a torch handed from one set of hands to the next, that legacy continues with his son, John Watkins Jr. So he carries the mantle of Citizen V for a time, and then eventually the name settles into history. It's honored and remembered in certain circles, but it's very quiet and it's kind of forgotten about for a long time. So this is where they connect, okay? Where that bravery, that honorable legacy turns into something sort of cruel. So our Citizen V, which I'm never going to tell you what his name is until we get to that, right? He chooses to impersonate this Citizen V. He takes that heroic legacy, he drapes himself in it. He doesn't choose that at random, right? And there is a connection between our Citizen V and the Watkins family, a real one, a deep one that goes all the way back to that war and how the original Citizen V dies. That connection runs through the V Battalion, through the missions that made John Watkins a hero. It runs through our Citizen V's own family name, which is synonymous with something very, very different than John Watkins. So, in other words, he doesn't just like steal that hero's identity; he steals his legacy, and he mars it by doing what he does with it. Okay.
But that's like 50 years later, right?
Yeah, it is some time later.
So, has the world forgotten the original Citizen V?
Well, no, because at a certain point, John Watkins III wants to take up the Citizen V mantle that was his grandfather's. So it is not completely forgotten. Now, when the Thunderbolts comics come out, it kind of is, because they're still kind of they may be writing some of this, or people have forgotten it, but it still exists out there. Okay.
Okay. Understood.
So whether he chooses to become Citizen V, like if that could be a strategic calculation, it could just be a good cover story. It's plausible history. It's got enough mythology to make it stick when he shows up, when our Citizen V shows up on the scene, to say, hey, I'm really a hero. Okay. There might even be a tiny bit of twisted respect there, but that's not an answer that I can, or that's not a question that I can answer for you. Okay. So let's go back to our Citizen V. That's where it comes from. So, all right. So our Citizen V, or redacted, right? He shows up on the scene, right? All in garb. He's got his Thunderbolts with him, and he speaks beautifully to the press about justice, about responsibility, about protecting the innocent. And those who do remember the original Citizen V are like, oh yeah, okay, this makes sense. So, when he's asked why he's doing this, he replies with this quote, and the quote is miscredited in the Marvel comics, and it continues to get miscredited throughout. And now nobody's really sure who said it the first time. I did some research trying to figure out who actually said this first, and I was not able to come up with the correct answer. But the quote is, as to why they've showed up to take the place of the Avengers, is justice like lightning ever should appear, to few men ruin, but to all men fear. And then he says, our hope is that we can be that lightning, we can be that justice. And the public loves him for it, right off the bat. They're like super excited. Okay, so let's talk about who Citizen V is without the spoilers. Not yet, okay? So I want to respect our storyline that we get in the box. That's why we keep not saying his name, because
maintain the air of mystery.
Yeah, because part of what makes this arc so extraordinary is that the writers held that secret close for months. Nobody knows who Citizen V is when this original comic comes out in 1997. So the readers trust Citizen V, right? The Marvel fans trust Citizen V. So
Love it.
not only is that happening in the book, but it's happening at the comic book shops.
That's so
Right.
meta.
It's super meta before meta was meta.
Yeah.
Okay, and the readers liked him, and that trust is exactly the weapon that the story uses against you. Okay, so what I will tell you is the man inside the Citizen V costume has that history, that long one. He has a long history, a complicated history, and he's a man of extraordinary intellect and genuine bone deep conviction. A conviction that the world wronged him, that the world wronged his family, that the world wronged everything he believed in. So he has a vendetta against everybody. And if I mention his name now, I'll basically tell you everything you need to know about him. But I'm going to hold off. So we'll just continue
This
to call
is
him
killing
Redacted.
me, Steve. This
Sorry.
anticipation.
Okay, so Redacted here. He creates the Thunderbolts. He handpicked every member. He designs their costume, their cover identities, their public personas. He crafts the story of Citizen V for himself, right? This legacy hero, the symbol of the Allied heroism. The same thing for all of his team. Okay, so he takes something that stood against everything that he represents and he wears it like a second skin. So he puts that persona on and becomes that persona, right? So what's the plan? The plan, it's elegant in its audacity. Use the absence of the Avengers to establish the Thunderbolts as beloved heroes. And that is not hard. They do that in the comics. Easy. Gain the trust of the entire world. Gain access to government secrets, to shield files, to secure facilities, to classified intelligence. And then, once their position is secured as the Avengers replacements, as the beloved heroes of the world, yank the mask off, rip the Band-Aid off, and show them who they really are underneath their mask, right? So it's a plan born of brilliance and fury, both in equal measure. And it's a kind of scheme that only someone with supreme confidence, you might say arrogance, could even conceive of, let alone execute. And it works, right? His whole plan is we're going to make them love us, we're going to get all the secrets, and then we're going to expose who we are to the world and take over the world because you trusted us, you gave us everything we wanted that we couldn't get before, but we can get now. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting, if it hasn't been interesting already. It gets a little human here, okay? So the Thunderbolts don't know the full truth. Like some of them know the full truth of what's going on with Citizen V. Techno/Fixer certainly did, gleefully so. Okay, but others like Jolt, who we will talk about next week, had been recruited later under different circumstances that left her not understanding who Citizen V really is or what the overall plan is. She's duped like the rest of society is. Scott, you'll talk about her, right?
Right. I'm excited to.
Okay. So the weeks turn into months and they genuinely save people. They get thanked. They go on rescue missions. They stop villains. They square off against the Hulk to stop him from rampaging. The stuff they do genuinely matters in people's lives. And they start to like it. I mean, who doesn't love adoring fans? Who doesn't love glowing reviews? Feel free to leave a glowing podcast review, folks. Who doesn't love groupies?
Oh,
So many groupies, right?
Way to work this in so subtly, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, son.
So the Thunderbolts, those people behind their mask had in their previous lives been reviled. They were named villains. They were scorned. They're put down. Some of them had been sent to jail. They were attacked on sight by twerps like Spider-Man. But now as a Thunderbolt, now under Citizen V leadership, they are the heroes. They are the darling, right?
It's so exciting.
Songbird finds out that people cheer for her, that children look up to her, that she could walk into a disaster and she could just help people. That's not something she had ever done or had before in her life. Atlas, a man who spent his career as hired muscle for people who didn't particularly respect him, found out what it felt like to be trusted, to be respected, right? To not just be strong, but to be strong for something that matters. And the other ones too. Those Thunderbolts start asking questions that Citizen V does not want them asking. And they start asking the questions, what if we just kept doing this What if we kept being heroes? What if we ignored the plan to rip off our masks and betray everyone? And that is not a question that Citizen V wants them asking, right? He starts watching his carefully engineered team start to get feelings for what they're doing. And there's like something kind of poignant about that if you squint, because he builds them to be chess pieces and they start learning to want things, right? He designs a machine and the machine starts dreaming of being human. So it's kind of this like he's in over his head now because they like being heroes and they just want to stay heroes. Eventually, the truth comes out. It always comes out in the comics, okay? You only have to read the Thunderbolts number 10, okay? And if you haven't read it, I won't spoil every detail, but the short version is the world finds out who the Thunderbolts really are. The joy, the trust, the goodwill, it just evaporates in an instant, right? They immediately get attacked. S.H.I.E.L.D. busts in, and they're on the run. They have to fight for their lives. These heroes that they had, these other heroes they had fought besides, they had fought alongside Spider-Man and Nova and a bunch of these other ones that were still around, Iron Fist, I think, immediately go on the offensive to try to attack and defeat the Thunderbolts. So this is a moment I want you to sit with. So when the confrontation comes, when the team fractures and the choices have to be made, the members who've changed and who've grown, who've started to believe in what they were pretending to be, they don't fall in with the original plan. They push back. Okay. And they push back against redacted here, against Citizen V with his mask off. And he's not somebody you push back against. Okay. So now the Thunderbolts, some stay sided with Citizen V, some don't. So now the Thunderbolts are fighting each other while they're also fighting the heroes who are coming after them. That push, that small human act of people deciding they want to be better than what they were designed to be is like genuinely moving in the comic. Because it means that con job that Citizen V did accidentally worked in a way it was never supposed to, right?
Supposed to, yeah.
Right. They tried on a costume of heroism, and for some of them, it totally fit. And for some of them, long term, they're able to, they're able to make that change. They and other ones, not so much.
He did too good a job.
Too good a job, yes. He's subtle and he's brilliant and he's patient, bordering on like terrifying, but he built this thing and he couldn't control it. So yeah. All right. So the Thunderbolt arc, it's like one of the all-time great long cons in superhero comics, like I said. And Citizen V, he's a villain playing at heroism. And there's a point in the version of the story where Citizen V is like just a chess master where he gets checked, right? He goes in and check. But then there's this more interesting read to it where he created something that escaped him. So he gave these people a taste of meaning, and meaning once tasted is very hard to give back. So maybe you feel sorry for him. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you do. But the next time you take out your Citizen V card and you look at that red, white, and blue costume, that sword, that immaculate public face, you have to ask yourself, is a man performing heroism for dozens of issues in front of a cheering crowd really performing by the end of it? Or is that mask just a different kind of truth?
Wow.
That's our Citizen V.
That's our Citizen V.
Yeah. And some Thunderbolts.
Cool story. That sounds like a real fun run. A fun one to read.
Yeah, after issue 10, so I guess he pretends for 10 issues, not dozen.
So
there's
Steve,
a lot of good read after that.
Now, the Thunderbolts as a team waffle between good guy, bad guy, and does it start here? Like, is this where?
This is them. Yes.
The Thunderbolts, the Thunderbolt story starts when exactly? In 97 with this one?
This one. Thunderbolts number 1, Citizen V, everything I talked about. Citizen V puts the Thunderbolts together. We have not seen them prior to that. You have 5.
And now in the Marvel movie world,
completely not the same. Totally different. Completely changed.
But also in the movies, didn't like Harrison Ford make the Thunderbolts or something?
Allegra De Fontaine puts them together. She turns them into the new Avengers. Elaine from Seinfeld. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the original Thunderbolt. You have Meteorite. They have different names. They have their villain names because they're villains posing as heroes, right?
Right.
You have Moonstone posing as Meteorite. You have Screaming Mimi posing as Songbird. You have the
Wait, did you
Beatles.
say Screaming Mimi?
I did. Yep.
Yes,
That
Yep.
is
that is her name.
so
That's awesome, right? You have the Beetle posing as Mach 1. And I know in our game he's Mach 4 because every time he gets a new suit, he adds a letter to it. You have Goliath posing as Atlas, and you actually have Techno posing as Fixer. Our game flips the names and doesn't use them correctly. Same with Moonstone. Her Thunderbolt name is Meteorite, but they list her as Moonstone. So there's a little bit of oddness there. These are our original members of the Thunderbolts alongside Citizen V. And then from this original story on till now, the team of the Thunderbolts breaks up, gets back together, has new leadership. Like Hawkeye leads the Thunderbolts at one point. Other members join, other members leave, which is why we see some different ones in our game, right? We're going to get like Widow and Radioactive Man and Batroc and
Okay.
Blizzard, and we'll learn about when they join the Thunderbolts, why and how. But they also end up being controlled by Norman Osborn. So they're kind of this is the important piece. This is our story in this box is similar to the Thunderbolt run I just talked about, the 1 through 10.
Okay.
Except for the fact that some of the starting members aren't really starting members in our game, but yeah. So yeah, ignore the movies. Completely different. I guess a piece of it is there where it's like the sort of anti-heroes,
The
working
ragtag
together.
anti-hero team, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but this one is they are straight up beloved heroes, but underneath their masks, all of them are villains. So yeah, until some of them wanted to stay heroes.
I was going to say they do play. One of the reasons I think we see them here, right, in our Agents of Shield, or not in our Agents of Shield, but also as we move into Civil War, they kind of recur. We see them even more. Is that they do play a fairly prominent role in the Civil War arc as well, which I'm sure we can talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, and for our box, Citizen V is like leading Shield, or he's working with Shield, and so they're good guys. But then we might learn in Scenario 5 who Citizen V really is, and that sort of thing. So yeah, there's a bit of because our story is saying Nick Fury and Maria Hill are out. They're on the run and they're bad guys now. So like Citizen V can be the good guy. So it's an interesting take on it. But you could read 30 years of Thunderbolts and there's so much to it. So
cool. Well, let's put that learning behind us, Steve. We've got cards to attend to.
Yeah, let's talk cards.
We will look at the fourth scenario in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. box called Thunderbolts. Wave 9, 14 total cards. Tonight we're just going to look at 3.
Wow,
That's it.
Okay.
Villain scheme and a environment, and we'll get to the rest next week. Somebody else should read Mr. Citizen V.
Take it away, Scott.
All right, I'll take it away. Citizen V.
No, bring it back. Bring it back. Where are you going with that? He just meant to read the card.
Let's talk about the A side. Too late, I'm leaving. He has 2 scheme, 2 attack, the Thunderbolt trait, and his text says that Citizen V cannot be defeated unless there are at least 1 per player Thunderbolt minions in the victory display. He has a forced interrupt on both his scheme and attack that when Citizen V would activate against you during step 2 of the villain phase, only during step 2 of the villain phase, if you are engaged with a Thunderbolt minion, Citizen V does not activate and heals 4 damage instead. He has 12 hit points per player. Then he also has a B-side with 3 scheme to attack. Same restriction that he can't be defeated until there are at least 1 per player Thunderbolt minions in the victory display, and the forced interrupt that when he would activate against you during step 2 of the villain phase, if you're engaged with a Thunderbolt minion, Citizen V does not activate and heals 6 damage instead. So he gets a bigger boost of healing and has 16 hit points per player on that B-side.
Cool. This box is full of A and B villains, huh?
It is. It's not a good box for those the cards that are based off of the villain stage number.
The villain stage,
No. Yeah, you're right.
That one that passes around like tough statuses. Yeah.
I suggest all heroes
Muster
play with
Courage.
those cards. Yeah, I would think all heroes should be playing with those cards.
So then, for those cards, is it just a perma stage 1?
Yeah, I think is what it's
Yes.
been
Like,
ruled
do
at.
they get at least
That
be
was the
that?
ruling.
Okay.
Yeah, you get
It
to
is.
hit 1.
Yeah, always 1.
Okay. Well, then Citizen V should be stage 2.
Yeah,
Alas,
maybe.
it's not.
Alas.
So he has, if there's a Thunderbolt out, he lets a Thunderbolt do his work for him, and he heals up a little bit, at least during the initial attack during the villain stage. Not if you draw an advance, not or an assault, or dark
Correct.
dealings, right? Not those cards, encounter cards, just the standard villain attack or scheme. Yeah.
And
All right.
though he can't be defeated, we can still punch him in the face, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can
knock him
get
to
him all the way
0.
down to 0 hit points. Yep.
Yeah. And then he might heal because there's still Thunderbolts out.
Yep. Okay. Well, what's he trying to do? Yeah, what's he trying to do? Well, he's apprehending rogue agents. So he's got a one scheme only here affair, which I think is odd for the 4th scenario, but whatever. Contents, Citizen V, A, or B instead for expert mode, Thunderbolts, and standard encounter sets. Setup, choose one modular set plus one per player additional modular sets, each with an elite Thunderbolt minion. Set each of these minions aside and shuffle the rest of their encounter sets into the encounter deck. Reveal the Justice Like Lightning environment. Okay. So you flip it, and apprehending rogue agents 1B, main scheme, 11 threat per player to max it out. Each Thunderbolt minion gains guard, forced response. After a player attacks a Thunderbolt minion, that minion engages that player. And if the stage is completed, the players lose. Now, this starts with 1 threat per player and goes up 1 per player.
So it has a unique setup. There are no suggested or required modular sets in the contents section. Instead, you skip down to the setups, right? And you're going to pick out a modular set that has an elite Thunderbolt minion in it, which we got 5, I think, in the box, and then 1 in the back of every pack moving forward for the wave, right? So we get a whole bunch of options to choose from. So you can mix and match. If you're playing a solo game, you just pick 1 Thunderbolt. You're going to go up, well, 2, I guess, right? You're always picking 1 plus 1 per player. So in a 4-player game, you're choosing 5 of them. In a 1-player game, you're choosing 2 of them. So that's kind of cool. It's reminiscent of maybe like Mojo stuff or the Hood.
The Hood, yeah, is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Okay, let me tell you about this Justice Like Lightning environment, because this really wraps how this works. Well, when revealed, each player reveals a random set-aside Thunderbolt minion. Reveal and attach the remaining set-aside Thunderbolt minion face-up here. In expert mode, give each of these minions a tough status card. Flip this card, and he has this quote credited to Thomas Randolph, but I think it's not really his. Justice Like Lightning ever should appear to few men ruin, but to all men fear. That's like the comic misquoted quote, whatever. Okay, so we flip it over, and it says the minion attached here is in play and can be targeted by attacks and abilities. Forced interrupt. When the round ends, attach the Thunderbolt minion with the most damage here, swapping it with the minion already attached here, if any. Heal 1 per player damage from the attached minion. In expert mode, heal 1 per player additional damage from that minion and give it a tough status card.
All right, so they're rotating around and healing, like one's, taking a little time out to heal up, getting replaced by someone stronger. Okay.
Yeah. There's some additional rules in the rule book. Scott, you want to read that for us just to clear things up?
Yeah, so it tells us about the Thunderbolt backup card, that the Thunderbolt backup environment on the reverse side of the Justice Like Lightning environment is put into play during setup with a Thunderbolt minion attached to it. The attached minion is considered to be in play, retains all tokens, status cards, and attachments on it, and can be targeted by attacks and player card abilities. The attached minion does not activate, because it is not engaged with any player. So it's like it's on the table, but it's in its own space. However, the forced response on the main scheme causes any Thunderbolt minion attacked by a player to engage that player. This includes the minion attached to Thunderbolt Backup. So the forced interrupt on Thunderbolt Backup attaches the Thunderbolt minion in play with the most damage to the environment and heals damage from that minion. If the most damaged minion is already attached, it remains attached and heals. If an unattached minion has the most damage, it attaches to the environment, and any minion already attached to the environment engages the player with whom the most damaged minion was previously engaged. So they do a little swapsies.
And there's a question like, what if minions are tied? And if 2 or more minions have the same amount of damage, the first player chooses which of the tied minions to put under Thunderbolt backup. So,
Okay.
yeah, everybody has one of these big Thunderbolt minions engaged with them at the start of the game. I punch Daniels because I want to help him out. It then engages me. So that's kind of fun for, say, Thor. Or you punch the one that's attached to the back. He's in backup mode. He comes down and joins you as well. You could end up, if you're spreading your damage around, you could be one player who has all 5 Thunderbolt minions engaged with you for some reason, if you wanted to do that. And then eventually they bounce, one will bounce back and heal up. You can't attack Citizen V because they all have guard, right? So if you're engaged with one, they have guard. So there might be a reason to pull one off of somebody else so that they could attack, because then the guard
put a big hit on, yeah.
Exactly, which you can easily do even without cards like Get Over Here by just attacking somebody else's minion, pulling their person, and then the other person will be open to attack Citizen V if they wanted.
Love it. This is a fun one to play. I'm sure we'll talk more about it next week.
Yeah. So the other key thing is you don't have to defeat all the Thunderbolt minions that are in front of you, just one per player, right? So in a 3-player game, there's 4 Thunderbolt minions. You got to kill off 3 of them, not all 4. Then you can go after Citizen V.
And the 4th one will be hanging out on Justice Like Lightning, because once we get to that stage, the most damaged one gets pulled there during that phase. So they're constantly being pulled out of the way so that they wouldn't even be a guard minion on the table.
Right. Unless you, for some reason, decided to attack it.
Exactly. For some foolish reason. Wanted to draw the ire of a Thunderbolt.
For pride points.
Maybe you had an attack card that says deal so much damage to everything on the table or something. Then
that's true. You might.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and our modular sets to choose from: Gravitational Pull, Hard Sound, Pale Little Spider, Power of the Atom, Supersonic, The Leaper, and then from the packs, Extreme Risk, Growing Strong, Techno, Whiteout. So some of them are original ones that you get in the box. Some of them are based on the story they've been telling. So you get to see Black Widow again. You get to see Batroc again. So that's cool.
Neat.
Yeah. Well, I think we wait until next week. We'll talk about it more.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about how this one moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Scott, why don't you tell the folks all about our, information?
Yeah. Well, if you want to tell us who you think Citizen V is, no spoilers for your friends. Just mail them straight to us. You can email us at criticalencounterspod@gmail.com. We are Critical Encounters on Facebook. You can find our YouTube, Twitch, or Patreon by searching for Critical Encounters Podcast. And on Discord, we are Vardane, Big Foam Loaf, and Lexicon. Now, if you like our show, tell your friends. If you don't like our show, tell your enemies. Take us out.
My name is Citizen V. That's V, the letter, as in V for victory, not the Roman numeral. And I'm making a citizen's arrest.